I think finally we actually have a presidential candidate who has a 40-year history of a consistent message. He has never swayed from that message. He has been on the front line of civil rights, women's rights, progressive ideals like healthcare, education, and he's always been doing this. So it's not like Obama, where Obama wasn't always doing this. He voted for certain things when he was senator, even though he wasn't senator for long. But he voted for, or in Congress for long, he voted for certain things that were not conducive. We were sold a bill of goods by Obama. I feel like he duped the progressives and the liberals because we didn't even look at his voting record at that point. We just heard his words and his message. And we didn't look at what his voting record was. We didn't see it was more right-wing. We didn't see that it was, what he is today. We actually we put our blinders on. We're like, nope, this is our man, because we definitely don't want Hillary. and we wanted somebody who was going to say change and difference. And we knew Hillary is just a continuation of Reagan, basically, because I believe all presidents since Reagan have been Reagan. At least some format of Reagan. Which I don't know why, because it's a fucking criminal. But either way, that's how I viewed it. So Bernie, I guess, it still gives me hope. Because I think even if Bernie goes away, his message has resonated through at least a good 40% of the population. I think the progressive message is being given a rebirth after it was kind of squashed by Obama becoming more right-wing. And I think Bernie's not our last hope. Bernie is the first step in the destruction of the establishment. And honestly, so is Donald Trump. Oddly enough, even though he's a moron, but he's going to destroy the right-wing establishment. And Bernie could destroy the Democratic establishment. Are we the first step in that?
I would agree that you have someone who does have a track record of voting towards what he believes. Mm-hmm. Obama did not sell us a bill of goods. The Democratic Party did. Because he only was a tool for the Democratic Party.
For the establishment.
Mm-hmm. And that's why it goes back to what I was saying. The message that has been given to us since 1968 has been a message of hope and change. They took Martin Luther King's idea originally and what black folks wanted to do at that time through integration and said, let us bank on that message. Whether we do it or not is irrelevant, because most people, when they vote, don't look at the voting record of the people that they vote for.
Oh, I'm never making that mistake again.
We don't look at their history. We don't do our due diligence. We don't vet them. We let the media vet them.
Yeah, we know how trustworthy they are. So,
but that's where I said when it comes to laziness, it's not so much as laziness as in, the physical activity, but the actual due diligence to find out who is the person that I'm going to cast my vote for. What is their record? For example, when we say Donald Trump, as I'm listening to his record as a business person, he touts it as his crowning achievement of why he should be the president, because he could get the economy going. Not that the economy is all that bad. In fact, it's doing great by some standards. But here's a man who has caused numerous bankruptcies, has helped a lot of small businesses be destroyed.
Well, there's profit in that.
But the thing is that we forget is the fact that as a businessman, his sole number one goal is himself.
Yeah.
Not to his employees. We tend to have this blinded delusion that a business person, in fact, he's the epitome of that whole trickle down economy idea that resonates amongst the right wing. That as a business person, he creates jobs. But we forget he might create a job to turn around and destroy the job. Your job is only a means into an end. It isn't because he's looking to be a benefactor or a benevolent enough to look out for you and to make sure that you're doing good. No, the bottom line is he wants to make sure that his bottom line is stay intact.
But you brought up an excellent point. I find it astonishing. Most people I know hate their jobs. Can't stand it, right? They don't like their bosses. They don't like the way it's ran. And yet somehow people want the country to be ran like a business. To make a country a business is to just shit on all of its people and to say, well, to hell with them. So yeah, valid point. I mean, it's astonishing. You're, oh my God, dead on with that analysis of Trump and people perception. I said the whole idea of running the country like a business and not as a moral, ethical entity.
Well, we want morals when it comes to our religious views, but we don't want morals based off of what's right. Getting back though to the Democrat Party, Donald Trump, things like that, where Democrats, like I said, Obama only did what he was told to do. The Democrats are still in line with Republicans. There's no difference. It's just a matter of how I'm going to present to the people. But my idea, and like I said about the common ground, is still the same.
The donors are basically the same. It's the big banks, the big corporations are playing both sides of the fence.
You're not winning or losing one way or the other. We honestly, truly need a strong third party. Or strong multiple parties to give a choice, whatever your case may be. Mm-hmm. But the point is, a two-party system that is basically one party, just cloth in a different type manner, is all you're looking at.
Well, I saw when I was younger, I can't remember where I saw it, but there was a guy went up on stage who had a red tie on, he was talking, and he's like, now for my Democratic opponent to talk, and his head just twisted around, and his tie turned blue, and that was all that changed. And that right there, when I was young, it made a big impact on me, like realizing that there's not that much variance between the two, because I said their corporate overlords are still running both sides.
Exactly.
So I guess at this point then, Bernie and Trump, God, I hate putting those two in the same sentence because they're so different. If human, just morally, how they feel about humans is totally different. But Bernie and Trump is taking advantage of the Tea Party and taking that hatred and grabbing it and splintering the Republican Party officially. Bernie, in my opinion, is step one to do that to the Democratic Party. We already talked about that. But I think that creation of the multiple parties is coming. It's just how it's going to get there. So I don't think the Republican Party, the establishment Republican Party, they're not all going to gravitate towards Trump. They're going to think that they're more civil, so they're going to keep a party over here. There'll be the Tea Party, and then there will be the Republican Party, which will be slightly less crazy than the Tea Party, only slightly. There'll be the Democratic Party, who looks a lot like the Republican Party, and then there'll be something like the Progressive Party, which will be, I guess, the slightly more liberal than the Democrats. Liberal. So I think it's coming. I don't think your hope of those parties being created is that far off. I think we're on the cusp of it now.
I would have to disagree.
Yeah.
In that it will come maybe in the manner in which you're presenting it. I would say that, again, you are not moving towards a direction of what is truly in our best interest. We want to vote what we feel is comfortable. We don't like change.
I like change.
But we don't, as a society.
As a society, right.
We don't like change. You know, my ancestors were told, why are you bucking against things? Change will come. Just give it time.
Pie in the sky.
And that has happened, and that message has been given hundreds of years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, change came, but to the person that was told to, didn't really see it. Their children might not have seen it, maybe their great-grandchildren, but even still, change was very slow. It's just like water on a rock, just eroded slowly. Yeah, it might have eroded, but it still eroded slowly. All right. But how do you affect change? Now, if you really want change, it's not going to come through a ballot.
It's not going to come from walking the streets either and protesting.
No, walking the streets and protest. No.
Doesn't do shit either.
That's not going to happen either.
They'll just pepper spray your ass to death.
I mean, honestly, that's not going to happen either.
So what does, I mean, change to me comes from communication. What we're doing right now, in my opinion, is change. We're sharing ideas, and we don't necessarily agree on all the facets of the ideas.
Right.
But you're making me think about something I haven't thought about, and hopefully I'm making you think about a perspective you haven't necessarily thought about. Right? And I think communication is how change is really made. But the problem with this is we know if you go out to the general public and you start having these kind of conversations with people were A, they're ignorant. B, they don't want to hear it. It depresses them or it makes them sad. C, they'll direct the conversation back to pop culture in some way, shape, or form, back to like television, or they'll pull the conversation away because they don't want to once again address these issues head on.
Right.
So how do you, I said to me, change comes from conversation. And it comes from actually challenging your friends and being challenged by your friends and being challenged by loved ones and people you care about to kind of look inside of your ideas and see what you really think about them.
First things first, you have to get out of your comfort zone. You know, conversation, communication, you have to talk about it. You know, you have to address the elephant in the room. It's there. It's not going anywhere. So, first things first. These political parties are all the same. You know, it's really one, like I said, one big political party, just clothing two different types of things. Mm-hmm. But the ideal, the underlying and base is always the same. Status quo controls everything else, basically feeds that.
So do you believe then they are using the classic, I mean, many people have said this throughout the years, the divide and conquer theory? They keep the rest of us thinking about issues that really shouldn't matter, whether it's religions, races, gender issues, stuff like that, issues that we should already be way past all this stuff as a species, but they keep that stuff in the media, they keep that stuff streaming in, and they keep the systems of control that do oppress people in there just to keep us nice and divided so we can't, as a society, rise up and say no.
I won't say that it's there to keep, it's a vehicle to keep us that way, but it's how it's presented. Racism is still here. Mm-hmm. It ain't never left.
We're seeing a big scream of it right now.
But it's like I told you in 2012 that it was going to happen. That it's not, in fact, it was going to make itself more manifest than before. It never left. All it did is basically just got a cover put over it.
Yeah, it was hidden for a moment. And not hidden that well, but it was biding its time.
It was just more, it made it easy to basically put on the guys that if we all do the kumbaya and we all hold hands and but then don't say that, it might offend them, or don't say this, it might offend them. But at the end, there's no dialogue, there's no discussion. You know, you have not addressed the issue. You rather sweep it under the rug and hope that it goes away. You want me to conform to your idea or the way you think. So if we don't address it, then eventually you'll get tired and just wear you down, and just it's a matter of attrition. Who's going to win out? Who has the strongest will,
or who just stays involved the longest. It's not even the strongest will at this point. It's just who's lazy enough to stay there the longest.
Well, the race is not to the swiftest, but the one who endures to the end. Mm-hmm. So if those things have not been addressed, then yes, they're always going to be there to keep us divided. But the things that have been put there to take our attention away are the minor things, like Ebola, conveniently put at the time where there was an election going on, so you would be more concerned, and that the people who want to get into office use it as a means to get themselves elected into office, so they scare you.
What's the name? Zika virus? Yeah.
It was funny that the creator or co-writer of the Dave Chappelle show, I forgot his name, but he's a comedian, and I was looking at one of his acts, and Neil is his first name. Yeah. Neil. And he was mentioning how white folks are scared. They're scared of everything.
I know a lot of scared white people, so I'm not going to disagree.
Well, in his act, he was talking about how you be at the job and you see somebody who's doing something that is counter policy. You shouldn't do that. I don't think that's right. I'm going to tell. They're going to do something. Or the boss comes and how you have something that you don't want to do, and the system might let you get away with it, and the boss doesn't catch it. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then somebody might say, well, wait a minute, aren't we supposed to do such and such? And you look at them like, fool, why you say something? We was fine.
Shit was going good.
And you decided you want to say something. Well, I don't want to get in trouble. Well, if they didn't say nothing before, how are you going to get in trouble?
You just want to shut your damn mouth.
Exactly. But
fear's a beast, man. Fear is why when I try to explain to people that corporations need people to work. If people all decided at once, fuck you, exactly. you could get change.